Hello and welcome to another version review. 5.4 is just about to end, so as always we get to take a look at what this version gave us. Now, this version was very much a filler version since we just got out of finishing the Archon Quest, which is understandable, but it also means that there isn't a whole lot to talk about, and if you couldn't guess that, even this very intro is to extend the video time, well, guess now you know. So, no new area, no new major stuff, Natlan related, so the main and only thing to check here are the events. If you're new to these videos, if you would like to know my opinions on the Abyss and the Imaginarium Theater, then you can check their respective videos on the channel. So, for events, we have the main event, which was an Inazuma Festival event, and for minor events we have the Character Anecdotes, a Natlan Combat event, a Co-op Fishing event, and a Fontaine Ad Editing event. Of course, let's begin with the main event, which was... Man, we had it pretty good with Lantern Rite. I mean, of course, there was no way they would do Lantern Rite bad, because it is Lantern Rite. But we had it very good because, well, looking at the story of this event, it has the exact same problem many of the previous festival events had, where the event starts off with, oh look, happy go festival, only to include some stupid evil side plot with maybe some lore relevance. And it basically goes like that here, where 95% of the first quest was all about the festival, and it was perfectly fine. But then in the last scene, it completely derails into, oh look, serious plot, get some lore, eh? And then all the other quests are about that plot, so the questline ends up kind of confusing on what it wants to focus on. In the last patch with Lantern Rite, the serious lore-related plotline was featured throughout all the quests, and the festival was put to the backseat, and it worked very well. Here, you get gaslit that the story is going to be about the festival and just silly shenanigans, only to get a slap in the face at the end of the beginning. Also, look, yeah, there were onsen scenes, and yes, they are done for the fan service, but well, any onsen stuff is going to be fan servicey. But might I ask, what the hell is up with the 2D stills? Yeah, I know you ain't going to make nude 3D models and animate them, but it also looks weird when they cut to a 3D scene of the inside of the bathhouse in between some of the stills, and I'm like, choose one maybe? Anyway, the story honestly was pretty boring, and again, it just tried to have a twist after twist to make it interesting, but it didn't really work, and then, of course, gotta have the last lore important cutscene that you ain't gonna be able to see in games, so like, And the minigames did not help at all. Surprisingly, no combat minigame, but well, the minigames that were there, well, we have a Harpastum Pong, basically, where you have a thing launching Harpastums and you have a racket and you hit it back and it does damage to the thing. The racket, though, is not just a block in front of you, but you press a button to use it and it has a hit arc, which made it kind of iffy to use, more so because of the camera angle. But the main problem was that the stages just went on for a little bit longer than they should, and the thing just ended up boring. Next minigame was a Flash game from 2008, where you controlled basically Yaemiko as a fox, and you did some extremely basic platforming to collect tofu and reach a goal. You could switch between worlds, and it made some platforms appear or enemies do different things, and yeah, it was very basic, and the controls were ass. I hated controlling this thing, and especially the jump. And last is something that I guarantee you can find in a mascot platformer from the late 90s and early 2000s. Not that I want to say, oh, bad, they are copying this, but like, we have the entirety of Genshin mechanics and stuff, and yet we choose to copy that? So in the minigame you had to move around to activate switches and collect keys for like blockades, but you also had Darumas which would copy your movements, and you had 3 rounds to record your movements, and then each Daruma would copy that round's movements, and that allowed you to reach the end. Honestly, it was fine actually. It wasn't completely basic compared to the previous minigame, but man, it was very annoying to record the movements because you started the minigame, wait 5 seconds at the starting line, record your movements, black screen, wait 5 seconds at the starting line, record movements while waiting for the first Daruma to do its own, black screen, wait 5 minutes and repeat, and it just got repetitive and very annoying. So all in all, the main event was very much a flop. I mean, after the really good Lantern Rite, this is a disappointment. Maybe the Chinese New Year vacation impacted the version, but well, you plan ahead of time to make sure you have things ready and well built, and well, the event was just very, very boring. Story was not that good, and the minigames did not help at all. I mean, at least you got a good weapon for Ian's son, I guess, for the next version. Which moves us to the minor events, starting with the character anecdotes, which, well, finally, I guess after 5 years, Genshin had playable characters in the overworld, and at least it lasted for the entirety of the version. But yes, characters would appear at different places in the overworld. I think they had like 2 to 3 variations, and you could approach them and get a fully voice acted, at least not if you're using the English voiceover cutscene, and it was nice. Cool interactions with the characters that builds them up. It's almost as if this should have been in the game for years, but oh well. Next up, I'll skip the combat event for now, and you might know very well why. Let's see the co-op fishing event, and I did not touch this one, because I don't like forced co-op for a shitty minigame, and actually, I heard that it got pretty boring, so maybe I dodged a bullet. Other than that, is the ad editing event, which was fine. You were asked to put some scenes into the correct order to create an ad for something, and I don't remember, but this sort of minigame did exist in a main event in Fontaine, but I don't remember if it was fully voice acted, because this one was, and that definitely helped the enjoyment of the event. It was perfectly fine. And now we get to the big boy, which was the Natlan Tower combat event. So, tell me, did you pull for Mavuika? Did you pull for Mavuika's Prime team? Did you also pull for weapons and constellations? No? Is the answer no? Well, go fuck yourself! Because this event could not have been more guilt-dripping and whale-baiting for exactly all of that. So in this event, you had a quote-unquote tower that had 25 floors. You could start from around 10 or 12 through a difficulty setting, or 15 after you got a checkpoint there, and you had 30 seconds, yes, 30 seconds, to defeat a group of enemies. And depending on the extra time that you had when you defeated those enemies, you would go up 1 or more floors. There usually were one-time HP and energy refills at some point that you could pick up when you wanted, and there was also a stage buff that was decently powerful. So, let's begin counting all the bullshit! First, you could get 4 types of medals: bronze, silver, gold, and platinum, depending on which floors you reached. The main reward for these medals was a name card. Now, wow, it took them years to give us a name card through an event, but here's the thing. In previous combat events with name card rewards, the name card would usually have the enemies on it or something like that, combat related, you know. Well, this one just had the sources, and you needed to reach a total of 100 floors to get the name card. Now, think about this. In the previous events, the name cards sort of represented the players that got them, those that invested into learning the combat, getting good units that they might not like that much, just because they're good in combat and they make stuff good, and stuff like that. This name card, though, is aimed at basically everybody, and more so the casual audience because of the cutesy nature of it. Well, let me tell ya, a casual would not even come close to getting this name card, because getting to an average of 20 floors, because there were 5 stages, would be impossible for them. Quite literally impossible. Why? Well, the second thing is, did you know that the max level of enemies that you will see on permanent content in the game is level 100? Well, on this event, starting from floor like 16, the enemies broke that cap, and they would easily reach level 110 plus by floor 20. And let me tell you, enemy scaling in Genshin isn't very, not logarithmic, but it really scales on their HP, and especially the damage sometimes that you will have to do, or might even be able to do, because their def increases. So unless you're using really powerful units, you are not killing these enemies easily, let alone under 30 seconds. So again, a casual reaching floor 20 on average would be impossible, even with the stage buffs. Next up is that your energy nor your cooldowns would reset between floors, so you could not even set up properly for the hard floors. But guess which character doesn't use energy? Fourth, the buffs were all, except one, catered fully to Mavuika herself and her Prime team. I think if you browsed any Genshin social media while this event was happening, you would see that everyone knew that this event was absolute bullshit and giga whale baiting specifically for the Mavuika Prime team. Not even just general whales with like older C6 units. People, even me with a C6 Furina that can 3-shot anything on the Abyss and many other well-built powerful characters with early constellations, I barely managed to get the name card. I think that I either got exactly 100 or 101 by using food buffs that buffed that Furina, and I gotta say, this goes for any combat event. Anybody that mentions, oh, it was easy with food buffs, I have to say back, yeah, cool, but when all permanent combat modes do not allow you to use food buffs so you learn to not use them or you even forget about their existence, is it really a good thing that you have to go out of your way to use these normally restricted things to beat it? Other than the food buffs, there was a bit of a cheesy tactic that you could do. The thing is that even if the timer ran out, as long as you killed the enemies, it counted as you completing that floor, but you would stop there, you would not go above one floor. You would not go up another floor. So what people did, and me as well, was purposely stall in the earlier floors in order to reach something like floor 17 or 18, and then nuke the floor to skip to floor 20, and then just complete floor 20 to get the average 20 floors. And that's how I got the name card. But guess what? I'm not gonna use it because I ain't the fucking target audience. Anyway, this event can blow the entire community, and I think we all know that it was an absolute bullshit event, and I unfortunately do not have high hopes that we won't see this happening again. They really want to guilt trip you into pulling for Mavuika and her Prime team, and this time they even went as far as to fully whale bait as well, to not just get the characters, get weapons, refinements, and constellations. I saw people when this event was happening that, hey, why are you saying this for Mavuika when Nouvellette and Fontaine started the power creep thing? But listen here, I don't think that such an event existed during Fontaine's patches. And guess what? I did not have Nouvellette for the entirety of those patches, and I tried to not necessarily not use my Furina, but I tried not to use me having a C6 Furina to review stuff, even the Abyss. And I did not have, as far as I can remember, I did not have any problems completing stuff, whether it was Abyss or events. And that concludes all the minor events. So, in conclusion, really weak main event. The character anecdotes are very late but welcome. Co-op fishing, I don't really have any opinions because I didn't play it, but from other people it wasn't that fun. Ad editing event was perfectly fine, and the combat event can go burn in hell. Thanks for watching. The new version is very close up on us, but it doesn't have any characters that I am going to pull for, so no new character review, honestly. Maybe I'll pull that Arlecchino character review that I've got footage for, and I think a script as well, since like half a year plus. Maybe I'll pull that out. I'll wait for the classic Abyss and Imaginarium Theater review, and when the time comes, of course, the version review. And as we are getting a new, what seems to be important area and world quest, we will have more stuff to talk about. Like the video if you liked it, sub to the channel to help it out, and if you'll excuse me, I have some goats to eat.